Ooh, the 11.24 patch notes have been revealed, and because the Jizz owns a crystal ball, I'm about to reveal the tier list for next patch, which is just under a week away. And there are so many shifts in the tier list for each role, so if you want to know the ins and outs and know what these actual changes are, just leave. I'm just joking, you gotta stick around, bro. And if you do enjoy these tier lists we make for you, remember to leave a like down below, and also remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, in terms of the tiers themselves, hopefully you know them by now, but we have the busted tier, S tier, low-key broken, which includes champions that are just underrated and underplayed, your typical A to C tiers, and the trash tier for this week, which is sponsored by the Riot Balance team themselves. So let's start with the 11.24 top lane tier list, and we're going to start by talking about Kled. And how funny is this? Because I said in yesterday's video that when that gold balance team say they are going to adjust their champion, they either outright buff or nerf them. And unfortunately for you Kled and Skarl fans, this adjustment is a straight up nerf. So Skarl's HP is now counting as base HP, not bonus. So your synergy with Titanic Hydra, which is really what made Kled really good, this is gutted. And yeah, your E's cooldown and damage is getting a little buff, but these are definitely not enough to compensate. This is why Kled has gone from S tier all the way down to B tier. Now, another change that is really important for the top lane next patch is the buff coming to Conqueror. So the stacks themselves are going to last an extra second, so 5 seconds now, and the actual AP you get in the late game is up as well. This is going to be really nice for champions like Akali and Sylas, who have both moved up to low-key broken and B tiers respectively, but it's also going to be really good for champions like Singed or a champion like Darius, because this 5 seconds synergizes with his passive. And to be honest, for any Conqueror champion back in the day like Aatrox, Riv, and Fiora, this is good for every single one of them. The fact that you're not going to lose your Conqueror stacks nearly as much, this is really important, but perhaps one of the biggest changes coming in 11.24 is the 1 to lethal tempo. So what's happening is that for melee champions, you're getting less attack speed per stack, but for ranged champions, your attack speed per stack is going up almost 50%, even though the bonus range you get at max stacks is down. Now think about this for a champion like Kayle. The more auto attacks you get off, the more attack speed you're going to get, and even though the range is down, it's just the fact you're going to access the range a lot sooner because you have more attack speed. This is going to be super broken on Kayle, and this is why she's in the busted tier. And you can see Jax in the busted tier as well, another lethal tempo abuser, even though it is getting nerfed for melee champions, so Jax, Tryndamere, and you have other champions like Yone, Aurelia, Darius, Set potentially. There are lots of top laners that will be hit by this nerf, but it's definitely not the biggest nerf we see here. And speaking of nerfs, you can see that Camille has gone from busted to S tier. Now this is because there are 2 nerfs coming to this champion. So the first one is that your E's cooldown from rank 2 onwards is increasing, and at rank 5 this is up 2 seconds. This is actually kind of going to be important for those mid to late game team fights because you will be getting less hook shots off. It's a super important ability, not just to gap close the enemy backline, but also to survive situations. And the second nerf is to your W sweet spot damage. So not only is the damage down, but their heal, because you're going to deal less damage, will be down as well. This is definitely going to impact your laning phase more than anything, but to be honest, Camille still has her Q, doing Cho'Gath ultimate damage. She still has Divine Sunder and the Sheen. She still has her shield from her passive, so there is still a lot going for her. This just brings her down onto the level of lots of other OP top laners. And Conqueror and Lethal Tempo aren't the only 2 keystones getting nerfed for top laners. Another one getting nerfed is Predator. So if you're playing a champion like Singed, Predator is going to take a little bit more time to ramp up, and you're getting less movement speed at that maximum value. This is going to be important for champions who want to roam from the top lane. But for Singed in particular, thankfully, because Conqueror is now 5 seconds, it synergizes with your poison. This is really nice, and to be honest, I think this will be really underrated, so this is why Singed is in low-key broken for 11.24. Now, there are 2 items getting nerfed that are really going to impact the top lane, and the first is the Frostfire Gauntlet. So what's happening is that the damage you do from the Snowbind passive, this is just decreasing, and it's no longer going to scale from your max HP. So if you're playing a champion like Dr. Mundo, like Malphite, like Cho'Gath, like Time Kench, all of these Frostfire Gauntlet champions that really love the HP, well, not only is the base damage down, but also the scaling you have from your HP. So this is going to bring these down a notch for sure. This is why Mundo has gone from busted to S tier, and maybe it encourages these champions to go Sunfire Aegis, or maybe even Turbo Chem Tank in some game. And the final item that will impact the top lane is the massive nerf coming to Cosmic Drive. So Riot are giving this item 3 nerfs, and to be honest, it wasn't really that OP, but here's what's happening. 10 less AP, 50 less HP, and the passive movement speed you're getting is going down a straight up 5%. This is just a massive kick in the guts, and to be honest, it's still costing 3,000 gold. As I said, it's not like Cosmic Drive was performing as well as Divine Sundra, so this one is certainly a bit of a head scratcher. Now let's head to the jungle and talk about this tier list right here. Now you can see that in the Busted, we have Trundle, Rek'Sai, Nunu, and Talia. And perhaps the main reason these 4 champions are so good is simply because of what they actually build. So think of Trundle with Press the Attack in the jungle. This keystone is still in a good position. Think of Rek'Sai with the buffed Conqueror. Think of Nunu with Phase Rush and the buffed Sunfire Aegis as his item. Think of Talia with Dark Harvest and then Luden's Tempest. But apart from that, not much is really changing. You have your staples Inzao, Nidalee, Fiddlesticks picks, and Estes still. And if you look at Loki Broken for me, we have Jax in there. Now this is because of Lethal Tempo Jax jungle. This has really reinvigorated Jax in the jungle, and you can see Kayn in Loki Broken who will benefit from the Conqueror buff, and you also see Udyr. Same thing as Shax with Lethal Tempo. Super underrated, and he has a really good win rate in high elo at the moment with this setup, and not too much really should change here because the nerfs are pretty minimal. And the only jungler getting buffed or nerfed for 1124, this is Ivern. So you're going to be getting more golden experience from Krugs, which is nice, but Krugs don't really decide the game. This isn't really why Ivern isn't that great at the moment. So for sure, this might encourage you to full clear so you hit level 4, but really, does it do much else? Because the jungle at the moment is a pretty scary place for the Vern. Running into Lethal Tempo champions, Rek'Sais, Trundles, you can't really compete. You really have to hope that you have aggressive early laners to even have a chance of getting to the mid to late game, which is where you really shine. So this is why the Vern is still staying in B tier. Now let's head to the 1124 mid lane tier list, and you can see that Kayle, because of the new Lethal Tempo, is going to be busted, along with Anivia, First Strike Victor, and Kassadin. Now, interestingly enough here, about Anivia, Kassadin, maybe even Victor, Archangel Staff is costing 400 less gold. So Riot have probably done this so it's the same gold as Winter Soldier, because we even see Kassadin's building this sometimes, so this is just to make Seras compete with its counterpart. And for scalers like Anivia, like Kassadin, like Victor potentially, and others on this list like Cassiopeia, this is unreal. 400 gold cheaper is nothing to scoff at, and it's one of the main reasons these champions are right at the top. Now elsewhere we have Yone making his way up to S tier. Because of the Conqueror buff, we also have Silas in S tier. Not just because of the extra second you're getting in Conqueror, but the adaptive force. Same thing with Akali, she's staying in Loki Broken. But to be honest, I wouldn't pick Akali if you're against a ranged champion like Lux, who's very good, Twisted Fate, Cassiopeia, because these lanes can be really difficult. You're much better off going against a melee champion. And we have to take into consideration, guys, what's happening to Predator. So for champions like Twisted Fate and like Galio, who do use Predator, we have to think what else they can use. So Twisted Fate, for example, might be able to go Electrocute or Spellbook, and Galio can probably just run Aftershock and be just as useful. So not many mid laners will be hit by this change because there are certainly other keystones out there, but there is a very interesting change coming to Axiom Arc, that lethality item. Now, what Riot are doing, the ultimate refund is down to 20% now, so essentially you need 5 kills or assists to get your ultimate back off cooldown. So pretty much this means that you're only going to be able to use your ultimate once in a team fight. So to be honest, this makes Axiom Arc a lot less interesting to buy. And most assassins anyway are still going Prowler's Core, which is in a good position, Duskblade, Ghostblade, Cerulda's Grudge. So even though Axiom Arc's passive still sounds kinda nuts, it's really not the most feasible for the actual stats it gives you and the gold it costs. And I just want to give a shout out to all you Riot mains out there. So even though Archangel Staff 400 less gold, which is awesome for you because it's such an important item, to be honest, this is solo queue for Rise. I don't think it's going to have that much of a positive impact on your win rate, and even if it did, it's probably still going to be like 45%. Now, excitingly enough, guys, we're going to head to the bot lane here, and there are actually lots of changes taking place for 1124. Now, standing alone at the top in the busted tier, this is Vayne, and I don't think really anyone can argue here, because with the new Lethal Tempo, which is giving you extra attack speed per stack now, okay, you're losing a bit of range, which is your main weakness, but here's the thing, you're getting to that range a lot quicker. That's the same thing with Kayle, and this is also why you see Caitlyn, Ashe, Kog'Maw, Jinx in S tier too. This Lethal Tempo just sounds so good for ranged champions. But someone else you might see in the S tier, this is Samira, and I know that when Samira gets buffed, oh my god, like Reddit goes crazy, and maybe they have a right to, because the mana cost in your ultimate, well, there is none at all ranks. And this is kind of big because this means you don't have to go Presence of Mind anymore. You don't have to worry about going after one combo. So this is a really nice change, and we also have to think about the Conqueror duration, which is increasing. This means that you can probably keep your stacks just by queuing the enemy champions once you put a couple of points into it. So I'm predicting that this change for Samira is going to be huge. And what do you guys think? Is she going to be permabanned like she was when she first came out? Now, if we look just below Samira, we can see that Twitch is here in low-key broken. And you might be like, what? How is Twitch low-key broken? Well, here's the thing. It's just because of the meta shifting in the bot lane to ranged champions, right? So think of these ranged champions like Caitlyn, Ashe, Jinx, Kog'Maw. When you use your ultimate on Twitch, it's not that great against champions with high mobility, but against ranged champions who don't really have that mobility, they can't escape your ultimate. You're going to be able to get these stacks off. Also with the new lethal tempo, this will allow you to get to the range quicker and the extra attack speed just to get more damage off. So this is a really nice low-key under the radar change for Twitch as well. And speaking of that Archangel staff buff, well, we also have Ziggs going from B tier all the way to S tier. This is such an important item because now it's giving you ability haste, which is awesome. It really works well with Leandra's Anguish and the mythic passive. Now as far as the champions you probably shouldn't play, Varus and Aphelios. These are two for solo queue that really just don't work, even though they might be good if you can actually play them. So Aphelios with the new lethal tempo actually sounds good, but yeah, who on earth is going to peel on Aphelios in solo queue? And as we head into the support tier list, guys, I want you to remember what was good in the ADC tier list. So we had Vayne, we had Caitlyn, we had Ashe, we had Jinx. These are really strong carry AD carries. So what we have to think about in terms of the bot lane is the peeling support that can really back these guys up and what actually counters these peeling supports. This is why you can see that there is Sona and Soraka in here, but also Blitzcrank and Lux. Now Blitzcrank is amazing because if you land one pull onto a bot lane with a Caitlyn or Sona, they are 100% going to die. So it's a really good counter pick. Then we also have Lux, who just has the best range at the moment and is so good with champions like Caitlyn, Jinx, Ashe, just really oppressive bot lanes. Now just a tier below that, it's almost like budget Blitzcrank. We have a Mumu. Land one bandage toss, you get another one in 3 seconds, and that champion you latch onto is probably going to die even if they do flash. And for the rest of the S tier, you can see Janna, Morgana, Lulu, Nami, Zyra, really good peelers and shoving champions. So you're pretty much always going to have priority and the pressure in the bot lane. This is also why Senna has gone into low-key broken, just because I don't think she's played enough as a support. Think about a Senna again with a Caitlyn. Think about a Senna with an Ashe. You're going to get poked down and it's just going to be really annoying, especially if you don't get jungle help. But you might be like, Jizz, Evan Shroud is getting nerfed, so of course, these peelers and champions I just mentioned are going to be really good. Well, Blitzcrank can build Evan Shroud, so why is he in busted tier? Well, simply because these champions can go Locket or even Shireliot. This is why Rel, Alistair, Braum, Nautilus, champions who can go Evan Shroud really aren't going to be impacted that much. It's not like before Evan Shroud came along, these champions were dog tier, they were still pretty good. So those are the 11-24 tier list, guys. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on our tier list. How many did you disagree with? What do you think is actually going to be a result of the buffs and nerfs that we have talked about? And just remember, before you leave, to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our future daily uploads, updating you on everything preseason, and also make sure to check out the GameLeap website, linked in the description and comment section, for all your challenger needs, talking you through how to play champions perfectly in terms of micro, role macro, whatever it is, we have it. So get that exclusive access by signing up, and until tomorrow's video, this has been the Jizz.